Mila and her allies swam fast towards Oku's coral fortress. The water around them was dark, and the mood was serious. Mila had told her closest friends what Oku had done, and they were ready to help her get justice back. They knew that time was running out, and they could not waste another moment. When they reached the fortress, they quietly entered, making sure no one saw them. The place was huge and full of sharp rocks and twisted coral. The guards were nowhere in sight, so they began to search every corner, looking for Elijah. Mila's heart pounded in her chest as she swam from room to room. "Check over there," Mila whispered to one of her friends. They searched everywhere, but there was no sign of Elijah. But Mila wasn't giving up. She kept swimming deeper into the fortress, her mind focused on only one thing, saving Elijah. Suddenly, without warning, Oku appeared from behind a massive coral pillar. His trident was shining, and his eyes were full of anger. The look on his face told them that he had been waiting for them all along. "Mila," Oku's voice boomed, echoing through the halls. "I knew you would come, but you won't live here with your friends." Mila froze. She could see that Oku wasn't going to let them go easily. Her heart sank, but she tried to stay calm. She had to think quickly. "Oku, where is Elijah?" Mila asked, her voice shaking. "You have no right to keep him. He's my friend." Oku stepped forward, his eyes glowing with fury. "Your friend is the one who doesn't belong here, and now he's going to learn what happens when humans try to meddle in our world." Mila's friends began to swim forward, but before they could move any closer, Oku raised his trident and pointed it at them. "Not so fast," he shouted. "You are all under arrest." Before anyone could react, Oku's guards appeared out of nowhere and surrounded them. Mila's allies tried to resist, but they were overpowered and quickly captured. They were all dragged to a dark, cold part of the fortress and locked inside a cave. Mila watched in horror as her friends were taken away. She tried to follow them, but Oku stopped her. "Not you," Oku said, his voice cold. "I'll let you go for now, but if you want your friends to stay alive, you'll do exactly what I say." Mila wanted to argue, but she knew she had no choice. She had to save her friends, and that meant she had to play along with Oku for now. Oku turned to his guards. "Take her back. Don't let her out of your sight." As Mila was being escorted out of the fortress, she looked back, her heart heavy with worry for her friends. She knew they were locked up in a place that was far from safe, and what made it worse was that she had no idea where Elijah was. Was he in the same cave? Was he okay? Meanwhile, in the cave where Mila's friends were locked up, they were trying everything they could to escape. The walls were made of hard coral, and the seaweed that tied their hands was thick and strong. They pulled, tugged, and twisted, but nothing seemed to work. "We can't just sit here," one of Mila's friends said. "We need to find a way out." "Calm down," another friend said. "We need to think clearly. If we keep struggling, we'll just tire ourselves out. Let's wait for a better chance." But waiting wasn't easy. The air in the cave was cold, and the silence was deafening. Every minute felt like an hour. They knew Mila would be looking for them, but they didn't know if she would find them in time. Back at the river, Mila was deep in thought. She knew Oku's warning was serious, but she couldn't just give up on her friends. She swam to the surface, trying to clear her mind. She needed a plan. She couldn't fight Oku alone, but she also couldn't leave her friends to suffer. The river was calm as Mila floated on her back, staring up at the stars. She could hear the sound of the water flowing gently, but her thoughts were in turmoil. What was she going to do? How could she save Elijah and her friends? Just then, a familiar voice broke through her thoughts. "Mila." Mila's heart skipped a beat. She turned around to see her mother, Queen Mara, swimming toward her. "Mother!" Mila exclaimed. "You have to help me. Oku has taken my friends, and I think he's hiding Elijah somewhere. I need to find him before it's too late. Queen Mora looked serious. I know, my daughter. Oku has gone too far this time, but we must be careful. He is dangerous. I don't care about his power, Mila said, her voice full of determination. I'll do whatever it takes to save them. Queen Mora placed a hand on Mila's shoulder. I know you will, but we can't act recklessly. We need help. We need to gather the others. Mila nodded. She knew her mother was right. She couldn't fight Oku alone, no matter how much she wanted to. Together with the help of her allies, she would find a way to defeat Oku and free her friends. As Mila and Queen Mora made plans, Elijah remained trapped in the cave, his mind racing. He had no idea how long he had been there, but he knew he couldn't stay much longer. He had to find a way out. His mind kept going back to Mila. He knew she was out there looking for him. He just hoped she could find him before Oku did something worse. I won't give up, Elijah whispered to himself. Mila will come for me. I just have to hold on. But as the hours passed, his hope began to fade. Would Mila really find him in time? One morning, as Mila swam through the coral reefs, her friend Ella had managed to escape from Oku's hideout. She swam to Mila quickly with excitement in her eyes. I know where Elijah is. I can't go back, but you can save him. Ella whispered urgently, her voice trembling with both fear and hope as she described where Elijah was. Mila's heart skipped a beat. Elijah, her dear friend, was still in danger. Without a second thought, Mila promised to rescue him that very day. I'll go to him, she said firmly, determined not to let anything stop her. Mila swam swiftly through the currents, her heart racing. She knew the danger, but her platonic love for Elijah was stronger. When she arrived at Oku's hidden cave, the sight of Elijah tied up with thick seaweed filled her with both relief and anger. He was weak but still alive. Elijah had been left there for days without food or water. His body slumped against the cold, rocky wall of the cave. Seeing him in such a state made Mila's heart ache, but she quickly pushed her sadness aside. There was no time to waste. As she swam closer to free him, she was caught by Oku's soldiers who had been keeping a watch on the entrance. They grabbed her by the arms and dragged her into the cave. Oku will not be happy, one of the soldiers grunted, locking her in a small dark cell next to Elijah. Mila, however, wasn't afraid. She was happy just to be near Elijah, and when he saw her, his face lit up with joy. Mila, you came for me, he whispered, his voice weak but filled with gratitude. Tears welled in Mila's eyes as she touched his hand. I'll get us out of here, I promise. In the dark cell, they were not alone. A friend of Mila's was still trapped in the next cell, and she too had been a victim of Oku's cruelty for too long. She had a plan, and together with Mila and Elijah, they formed a plan to escape. She whispered to them about a secret tunnel she had found close to her cell, hidden beneath the rocks, which could lead them out of the cave unnoticed. But the tunnel was only accessible during high tide, when the water level rose high enough to wash over the entrance. She was scared, but Mila assured her that they were going to be okay. After using it, the three of them waited anxiously, counting the minutes until high tide arrived. When the time finally came, Ella led the way, her sharp instincts guiding them through the cave's twists and turns. Mila helped Elijah along, keeping him steady as they made their way through the dark and slippery passage. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, they reached the tunnel's exit as the water level rose. They swam out into the open river. The fresh water and freedom felt like a gift after the dark confinement of the cave. We did it. Mila gasped, her heart pounding in her chest. She turned to Elijah, who smiled weakly. We are free. But they weren't out of danger yet. Oku's soldiers would soon realize they were gone, and the chase would be on. Mila didn't waste a second. She told Elijah to swim as fast as he could and led him toward the kingdom, the underwater kingdom of her father. The king was a safe haven. It was there that she could tell her father what had happened, and they could finally deal with Oku's treachery. When they reached the palace, Mila was met by the guards. They were shocked to see her and even more surprised when they saw Elijah, a human, swimming with Mila into the kingdom. But none could stop him. Mila swam to her father's chamber, where he sat waiting for her. "Father," Mila said, her voice full of urgency. "I have news. Elijah here has been captured by Oku and held prisoner in his cave. He captured me too, but we've escaped, and I need your help to stop Oku from causing any more harm." The king's face hardened. "Oku," he slammed his fist on the stone table. "He will pay for this." The king summoned Oku immediately, and when he arrived, he was forced to answer for his actions. At first, Oku denied everything, claiming that he had not captured Elijah and had no idea where he was. But the evidence was too strong. Ella, the mermaid who had helped them escape, was brought forward to testify. With no way to deny it any longer, Oku fell to his knees. "Please, Your Majesty," he begged, his voice desperate. "I was wrong. I let jealousy cloud my judgment. I have made terrible mistakes, and I regret them deeply. Please forgive me." Mila, though hurt by Oku's actions, knew that forgiveness was important. She had learned that lesson through her friendship with Elijah, and she understood that everyone made mistakes. She turned to her father, who was silent for a long moment. Finally, the king spoke. "Oku, you have betrayed my trust, but I see that you have learned your lesson. You will be forgiven, but only if you prove that you are worthy of that forgiveness. I will give you a chance to redeem yourself." Oku bowed his head in gratitude. "Thank you, Your Majesty. I will make things right." After Oku's pleading, Elijah was given a royal escort to the riverbank, where the human world met the underwater kingdom. The king, moved by Elijah's bravery and loyalty to Mila, presented him with a beautiful diamond. It shimmered in the sunlight, a token of appreciation and friendship. Mila and Elijah stood by the river, smiling at each other. Though their worlds were different, their bond was unbreakable. "You'll always have a place in my heart," Mila said softly, her voice filled with emotion. Elijah smiled, holding the diamond in his hand. "And you in mine, Mila. Thank you for everything." They hugged one last time, knowing that even though they were from two separate worlds, their friendship would never end. Oku, now under the king's watch, worked hard to prove his loyalty. He helped rebuild the trust he had broken and slowly began to regain the respect of the kingdom. Over time, Oku and Mila grew closer again, and the feelings between them began to regrow. They started to understand one another, unlike before, and a deep bond formed. Finally, Oku asked Mila for her hand in marriage again. "Mila," he said, "I have wronged you, but I have changed. Will you still marry me?" Mila looked at him, her heart filled with a mix of emotions. She had learned to forgive him, and in that forgiveness, she found love. She nodded. "Yes, Oku, I will marry you." The wedding was a grand affair. The kingdom was decorated with colorful seashells and pearls, and mermaids from all over came to celebrate. Mila and Oku exchanged vows under the shimmering waters, and the kingdom rejoiced in their union. Though Mila married Oku, she never forgot Elijah. She would often swim to the riverbank to visit him whenever he was around, and they would talk about their lives and adventures. The bond they shared was a testament to the power of love, loyalty, and friendship, no matter the distance or the difference between their worlds. And so, the story of Mila, Elijah, and Oku became a legend passed down through the ages, a story of betrayal, redemption, and the strength of true friendship. Mila's heart was full, for she had learned that sometimes the greatest treasures are the friendships we hold dear, even when the world tries to pull us apart. Thank you for watching. Please stick to this channel. We have beautiful videos coming your way, and don't forget to share. Where are you watching from?